okay, this is nerve-wracking, right? But we have to get uncomfortable. And I like to tell my clients that whenever we do something new, this is very new to me, right? I've coached people one-on-one, in groups, even small events, tiny little events. I like intimate settings. And when she called me, I said yes before thinking it through. So I spent many months after that saying, how am I going to tell her that I'm maybe not going to make it, that I'm not going to be good enough? And I said, you know what? You teach people to have courage before confidence. And this is something you've never done before, but that doesn't mean you can't learn. All you have to do is go through the fire, right? Before you become confident. And as human beings, that goes for everything we do that's new in our lives. We have to have a bunch of courage before we become comfortable. But somehow we feel that something has gone wrong when we don't feel 100% confident. But it's the other way around. I like to tell that to my nieces and nephews because they think everybody's confident on TikTok and everybody shows up in a certain way. But those people did a lot of work. So thank you for being here. Thank you for having me. Thank you for believing in me more than I believed in myself in this stage. I never even wanted to publicly speak. I never cared to. I like to be behind the scenes. I used to be a producer and I loved being behind the scenes. So I thank you for believing in me. And I want you guys to hold your hand over your heart. Maybe if you want to close your eyes, breathe with me because I need it. So let's breathe together. Have gratitude in your heart because you had the courage, like me, to be here today and change your life in whatever way the universe, God, source is aligning you to change your life. Transformations start from these small steps. So have that inner gratitude with yourself that you follow through on your word, because most people don't do half of this. Okay, let's talk about dopamine. It's not the sexiest subject, but you will look sexier. So have you ever wondered why you find it so hard to resist all these foods? I had no idea until I figured it out. I was 55 pounds overweight and I had no idea what I was doing, but I didn't know there was something called dopamine and other hormones that were responsible for my weight gain. I figured it out, lost 55 pounds. And you can do the same. Everybody could do the same. You don't have to buy a product. You don't have to take a drug. You don't have to overly exercise like I used to and beat your body to submission. All you have to do is what I'm going to teach you today. And it's all inside of you. So that's magical, right? We just don't know this information. Nobody teaches this information. I'm guessing because they want us buying more and more products, right? So I'm a life and weight loss coach. I'm double certified. And my story began when I was 25 years old. I had everything going for me. I had the perfect little townhome in Florida, nearby here. I had a beautiful job at Saks Fifth Avenue. I was a stylist and makeup artist. I had a beautiful relationship with my fiance of 5 years. And then I got diagnosed with a brain tumor. After the brain tumor, I had autoimmune issues, multiple autoimmune issues. I landed in bed for 1 year, bedridden, with horrible headaches. I couldn't even see the sun for like a year. Every time my family went to visit me, I would faint. They would freak out. So I ended up staying by myself in a room as long as possible so I wouldn't freak anybody out. So what happened was I lost my job. I couldn't stand. I couldn't sell. I couldn't, be there for my clients. So I lost my job. Then my relationship came to an end. It was toxic. And I guess the universe, God has a way of just wiping everything out. And for me, it was all at the same time. So no job, no fiance, left by myself in this townhouse that I couldn't afford anymore because I was sick. So I was literally bankrupt in every area of my life. It was my rock bottom. I still get sensitive just thinking about it. So I understand what it is to feel like the rug has been pulled from underneath. After that, I kept struggling with my weight. I had no idea, and I'm a seeker. I'm such a seeker. I'll figure it out. I couldn't figure this thing out for years, decades. Would lose the weight, do some diet, take pills, exercise. I would do like Orange Theory like 6 times a week. Nothing. In fact, it made things worse. I went to doctors. Regular doctors just wanted to give me pills and said, it is what it is. Deal with the weight. Most of America's overweight. They don't know nutrition. They didn't even tell me the hormones are responsible. How does that happen, right? Went to holistic doctors. Spent a lot of money. If anybody has done that route, it's very expensive. It's amazing, but very expensive. They kind of fixed the autoimmune issues a little bit, but not the weight. She's like, I don't know. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I went on detox diets and nothing changed. So I struggled on and off until I understood how dopamine and hormones play a huge part. And when I found out, the light bulb went off in my brain. Have you guys ever had that you have one instance that you have this clarity, this information, and you're like, oh my God, stop. What am I doing wrong? I've been doing everything wrong. This is it. This is a wrap. What I did was I didn't even tell my husband I was doing this work, right? Because I was so tired and kind of embarrassed to tell my husband that I was on one more diet or one more program, right? Because I'm like, I never told anybody. So I'll come back to that. I'm the type of person that I considered myself a very healthy eater. Ask my sister, I cook for everybody. I'm more into like whole foods. I just didn't understand. So I never had junk food. I never drank sodas. I didn't eat candy. I wasn't that girl. My struggle was real because I'm like, what am I doing? So I had no clue why I was struggling. Again, tried every diet. Nothing seemed to take long-term. Like many of us, we try a diet or an exercise program. We get all excited. And of course, that's a dopamine in us. And then we're like, we can't do this long-term. I can't be on cabbage soup for the rest of my life. Right? Can you guys? I can. I'm like, all right, so how am I going to do this? So I would lose the weight or some weight and then gain it all back when I would stop the cabbage soup. Obviously, I was confused, frustrated. And what I hear a lot of my clients say, which I also had this, is hopeless. There was this little tiny light inside of me, that little seeker inside of me that wanted to find out why. I was eating foods. This is the reason why. I was eating foods. That's me. And I used to be so ashamed when I started my social media accounts. I was so ashamed to put my before pictures. I was just like, I couldn't deal with it myself. I had to do a lot of work to love myself how I used to be. Because it's so much easier to love yourself in the new you than the old you. I was eating foods that kept my hormones and dopamine out of balance. This is a real thing. This is not a cop-out. I used to think that was a cop-out. It's not a cop-out. It's the real thing, making it physically impossible for me to lose weight. So today we're going to dive into the science of dopamine and the influence of our eating habits and how to attain sustainable weight loss. Because I don't know about you guys, but I did not want to lose weight for a wedding, a holiday party, and then gain it all back again. What is the point? What are we doing to ourselves? I wanted to lose it and sustain it, have a lifestyle with it. And it's not about the weight. The weight came off in the way that it came off because of the way dopamine works. Once I did that, my brain got a healthy dose of dopamine and a void Where the void was, I was so concentrated on food and my weight and exercise, and I didn't know what I was doing and how am I going to do it? That took all my mental power. So my brain was just like obsessed with it. Imagine all of a sudden removing that obsession. What happens? You did that. What else can you do? What else is available for you? You will never find out until you do this work. It is the most miraculous thing I've ever seen in my life. From there, my world changed. My career changed. I now do something that I absolutely love, which is to teach people exactly what I went through and guide them through it. I have the most amazing marriage because my relationships are better because I learned something called boundaries, right? My career changed. I have the lifestyle that I always dreamed of. I got this house that's incredible, 18 acres in Asheville, North Carolina, whoever wants to visit. It's just amazing what could happen with this work, right? And I'm not the only one. My clients have similar results. They're like, I bought a house. I never thought I mended my marriage. My kids love me now. It's just incredible. So dopamine, for whoever doesn't know, is a feel-good neurotransmitter. Dopamine is responsible for pleasure, reward, and motivation. We have to be careful where we put our pleasure, our reward, and our motivation, because our brain doesn't know the difference. In fact, our brain likes the quick, easy route because it doesn't like to expel energy, right? Because we expelled energy in the past, we were eaten by something. We couldn't wait too long. So it likes the quick fix. If you use dopamine for the healthy release and you go the longer route, just a little bit longer, you get anything in life you want. This is, outside of weight loss, this is what's going on with our kids right now. They live on their phone. So this is not just for weight loss, right? Input blank, what your dopamine high is, right? For me, for business, when things get tough and I get like tech is too much for me, guess what? I go to my phone. But I know this work, right? So this is why it's so important. You do it in one area of your life and it actually becomes a compounding effect in other areas of your life. Dopamine's role helps you accomplish goals and, of course, enjoy natural and delicious meals. This is due to the connection between dopamine and the behaviors that are reinforced in the brain because it is our survival mechanism. It is how our ancestors, our women, cave women, that I love because we're here because of them, is how they stayed alive. It's how we're here today. If we didn't eat, they risked their lives, right, to go eat. They had to leave the cave, very cold day, had to leave the cave, and all kinds of animals and other humans were going to attack them. And they didn't know when they were going to get the next food. So dopamine made sense, right? It does still make sense, but this is at a very primal level how we have this dopamine. Eating, of course, plays a humongous part of this because it's essential to our survival. If we don't drink water and eat, we die, right? So the brain is really hardwired, especially for food, to want food. So it's no wonder that this pleasure, reward, and motivation exist. After all, it's there to keep us alive. But there's a very dark side to dopamine, and it's the temptation to overeat and sabotage. Beautiful word. Our brain's reward system can become hijacked by unhealthy foods, leading to constant cravings and therefore weight gain and later on disease. I literally just lost a friend. My sister and I lost a friend to diabetes. They amputated his toes, fingers, and he just kept going. This could literally save lives. I have had people with diabetes and reversed it, pre-diabetes and reversed it, just with food and understanding this basic understanding, right? If you're having the cravings, it's not your fault. Weight gain is not your fault. It's the way that you programmed your brain. And advertising doesn't help. Neither does Amazon Prime or Instacart. So certain foods release a higher percentage of dopamine in the brain. These are flours, sugars, juices, and any foods and liquids that are highly processed. Okay? I'll explain to you why. And then these are the foods that are known to the brain to be safe foods. Why? Our ancestors had these. Our ancestors didn't have these. These are vegetables, protein, fruits, and grains. So what are the main difference between natural foods and processed foods? The reason why is because they're highly concentrated. The more concentrated the food, the more foreign to the brain, the bigger release of dopamine you have, because the brain doesn't understand what it is and then goes, what is that? I want more. That's amazing. I've never had that. Our ancestors didn't have it. I want it. It's like a drug. The first time you give a kid sugar, look at their faces. They're like, what? Like you literally see the dopamine hit in the brain. So the pleasure response in the brain is unnatural. So the brain wants more and more and more. So we could become addicted to foods, and therefore this leads to disease. So when we ingest these foods, our dopamine response increases and the brain feels these are essential to our survival. This leads to a vicious dopamine loop that we're totally unaware of and can't seem to stop as it becomes automatic. How many of you knew that this was going on behind the scenes of your brain? See, very little people. Nobody teaches us. So again, this is not your fault. And the more you consume, because your brain's going to want more, right? And the more weight you gain. This happens at the dopamine level, but then other hormones get triggered. And that's insulin, ghrelin, and leptin. So now you have all hormones out of whack. There's no way you could lose weight when that happens. And that's what happened to me. Right? So again, none of this is your fault. How do we fix this dopamine loop? I help people create a protocol that slowly but surely removes all concentrated substances. We could try to remove them all at once, but when a client tells me that, it's a red flag that they're in a diet mentality. I take women out of the diet mentality. I hate it. It's all or nothing. I love myself or I hate myself. It's no good. It served us horribly. We beat ourselves up over that more than anything else, and it still happens, my clients, so I just do it very slowly. And what happens if you do it fast, you have withdrawals and you feel like crap, and then you get mad at me. So my approach is to remove it in a very controlled and calculated way until we reach our main goal. When we reach that goal, I help you maintain, I help you produce another protocol that helps you maintain, so that you don't feel deprived. Because who wants to feel deprived? If you see me tonight, I already called in a pizza with my sister. Tonight, we're having pizza. Because I did this thing, this is my reward, right? Pizza's my reward. But I don't do that every day. I actually know when to have it. I now know when to have it. I know what it's doing to me. And my brain does have a dopamine hit just like yours. It's excited right now just thinking about the pizza. After putting all this work on myself, of course, my husband ended up finding out because I was losing weight. He's like, what are you doing? What's going on? And he's very competitive. He's like, teach me everything. I wasn't trying to be a weight loss coach. I was already a life coach. I was a business coach. I love women in business. I love that stuff. So I was like, I'm not doing that. No way. He's like, well, you got to teach me. I got to do this. Okay. So he lost 50 pounds. And I'm like, work for him too. Of course, faster than me. You know why, right? We women are meant to carry babies, so the weight wants to stay on because it doesn't know, right? So there you go, guys. So from there, people started hiring me out of nowhere because they've never seen me lose that much weight and keep it off. So on social media, they're like, what are you doing? It's been a year. What are you doing? It's been 2 years. You haven't gained an ounce back? Can you help me? Can you help my son? Can you help my daughter? Can you help? I'm like, oh my God. And my sister, my husband, like, you need to switch businesses. I burned down my old business and literally restarted Decoding Weight Loss, which is my business. My programs help you. This is just the basic because we go deep. But you can't lose weight just by fixing the physical or just the emotional. Like, we have to do a holistic approach. We're multidimensional beings. There's no way we could be like, eat this and you'll be fine. It doesn't work that way. on the basics of what I teach is we naturally balance dopamine and other hormones. We learn how to process emotional triggers. Because guess what happens? Guess why most of you will go today and not do much with this on your own? Because as soon as you remove the other dopamine hitting foods, right? The addictive foods, guess what's going to happen? You have an emotional trigger to them. Done it forever. It's totally normal. But we lie to ourselves like, oh, this is going to be so easy. No, it's not. Like you're an emotional being. You're going to have to process emotions so that you start releasing the weight. Then I help you rewire your brain's reward system, which leads to you eating healthier and have a lifestyle and never look back and never do it again. I never want to gain that weight back. So after this, I felt empowered and called to help as many women as possible achieve the same results. After all, they were calling me nonstop. So I began teaching people the techniques I developed. And of course, with the research years, I spent many years doing more research on my own, got a life weight loss certification, and then kept studying about the brain, because if I found out that that was going on with my brain, I didn't know, what else can I find out? It was just amazing to me, and it still is. So I put all these concepts and tools into a program. And this is Gigi. Told her what I did. She's like, I need you now. She's like, I'm frumpy. I'm depressed. I can't play with my kids. I have bone aches. I feel I don't want to have sex with my husband. That's how she felt, right? And most of us feel like that. And she's like, whatever, I'll do whatever you need me to do. But she's like, but I need to lose 40 pounds in like 6 months. And I'm like, oh, Gigi. Okay, I like to go slow and easy, like I said, but I'm like, why? She's like, I'm turning 40 and I want to lose 40 for my 40. I'm like, okay. She was also an ex-binger. So she was very careful to work with me in that sense, because she didn't know when she was going to be triggered into the binging, right? Because usually diets are not good for bingers, right? Because whenever you remove things, you want it more, right? When you resist, persist. She ended up, look how fabulous my girl. Not only does she, forget about the weight, she ended up leaving her job that she hated, started her new career. She is on fire with this girl. Freaking love her. 40 pounds now. Then we have Lana. Oh, I love this girl. Okay, I love all my girls. So Lana, she was an overweight kid. There was no way her belief system, this is what she told me, would ever feel that she could ever be thin or lose 70 pounds, because she was never thin. So her brain was like, no, it ain't gonna happen, because our brain is wired to think of your past results. So it's like, you never created that. What makes you think you're gonna create it now in your 40s, mid 40s? So she was like, her belief systems kept coming up naturally because of this. She's never seen it physically happen in her life, right? She lost 70 pounds, has kept it up for 3 years. Most of my clients, unless somebody's hiding somewhere, they all lost it and kept it off. She changed jobs. Her husband and her never had a home. They always rented around. She ended up buying her first home, and she's since become a life coach, which is amazing. Another beautiful soul. Okay, next one is Melanie. Melanie was a model. When she turned 40, she had 2 kids. She turned 40, gained 45 pounds, and she didn't know what was wrong with her because she felt bloated all the time, and she felt aches like I did. So we suspected that she was allergic to certain foods and probably had autoimmune issues. So not only did I got Melanie into a protocol to lose weight, but I also helped her remove some of the foods that were that she was allergic to, and she ended up losing the weight and never looking back. Because once you know this information, you can't unknow it, right? Let's talk about you. The brain doesn't learn by listening to me today, unfortunately. You're going to have a lot of wows, and it's so cute, but to come to things like this and listen to people, but you really don't integrate the information until you do the work. So I have some worksheets for everybody. And whoever doesn't need to lose weight, think about what dopamine is affecting, right? If you're an overdrinker, like I used to be, that's a dopamine high. If you're over Facebooking or IGing, same thing. We could also become addicted to drama, just FYI. Not that I know from experience. I have an online course for anybody that wants more of this information, and that's it. And you'll be on your way. Thank you guys so much.